Hi everybody and welcome to Aimee Nolte Music. Sometimes I get the question, how do I not get lost in the form? My heart goes out to you guys because I've been there. I even can't say that it hasn't happened to me in the last couple of years. It happens once in a while. You've got to be on your game not to get lost in the form. We're going to talk about several ways today, steps you can take so that you won't get lost in the form anymore. I think during about the first, 5 years of being a jazz player, you can expect to have that fear and to actually get lost in the form sometimes. But after that, I'm happy to say that it hardly ever happens anymore. Like almost never. The only time that I can remember that it happened to me was when I'm joking around and it's on a tune that I'm not very familiar with and something happens during somebody's solo and the drummer and I make a face at each other and if I'm joking around, it might happen. But most of the time it not happen. Now some tunes are easier to get lost in than other tunes. Some tunes are really easy. Most tunes are AABA. Here's the first step. You've got to learn your tune, and in learning the tune, you've got to learn the form. The form will help you not to get lost. If you know that the chords on the A section are going to repeat, there were 8 bars and there are going to be 8 more bars right now, and then there's going to be 8 bars of something completely different, and then 8 bars back. It's a lot easier not to get lost, but there are tunes that are complicated, and you really have to pay attention in order to not get lost, because they're tricky. The first tune that comes to mind like this is Chega de Saudade. Do you know that one? No more blues, I'm going back home. No, no more blues, I promise no more to roam. Ah, da, da, dee, da, da. Right, it does that the first time, and then the second time, da 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 dee da 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 da. It changes. It starts out like it's going to be the same, but then it is not the same. And if you don't have that melody in your head, it's going to mess you up a little bit. We're going to talk about that in a second. Anyway, first step. I know I've talked in the past about why it's important to memorize tunes. You could look at my video called How to Really Get Into the Changes. You could look at my video called The Day I Put Away My Real Books. Ingraining melodies into your head, chords into your head, forms into your head is so important. You don't need to look at the music. It's gonna guarantee that you get lost. You gotta have it in you. Let's say that the tune that you're learning is Blue Bossa. First step, learn the melody. Da 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 da. Learn the melody. Be able to sing the melody, be able to play the melody. Second step, learn the chord changes. You get C minor for 2 bars, you've got F minor for 2 bars, you've got a 2-5 in C minor, D half diminished for a bar, G altered for a bar, C minor for 2 bars, and then we've got a 2-5 to D flat. That takes up 4 bars. Then you've got the 2-5 back to C minor, and then a quick 2-5 back to the top of the tune. There is no form in this song, it's just an A section. So you've got those chords. Now, once you kind of understand the structure of the form and how the 2-5s lead you to the next 4 bars and all of that, then the thing to do is to say the chords. So you got to listen to a recording. Go listen to Joe Henderson play Blue Blah. Go listen to Joe Henderson play Blue Bossa. Go listen to Joe Henderson play Blue. Go listen to Joe Henderson play Blue Bossa and say the chords along with him. As they go by, say them. So you've got time now. C minor, C minor, F minor, F minor. Even if you're just doing whatever, I always say driving in your car. That's the first thing I think of though. If you're driving in your car, say the names of the chords. Next thing, sing the names of the chords. C minor, C minor, F minor, F minor. Then play it. Even if you're a horn player, sit down at the piano or the guitar, whatever your comfortable chord instrument is, and play through the changes so that you can hear them nicely. Or go ahead and, play through the changes, play arpeggios, play scales, whatever you can do, drill those changes into your brain. The last way to learn a song really well, I think, is to listen to it on repeat all the time. Make a playlist of all the best recordings of Blue Bossa and just have it on repeat for days, days and days, as long as it takes, so that you don't have to even think about it anymore. One way that you're going to get lost in the form is if somebody else is taking a solo and they do something interesting in their solo and it makes you lose your concentration. The best way I know to combat this happening to you, especially toward the beginning of your career, is to sing the melody while they play. So you can practice this. If you've got your favorite recording on of the song that you're learning, when it gets to the solos, just sing the melody during the solos. No matter what anybody plays, even if it's a drum solo, even if it's a bass solo, sing the melody all the way through, because it's going to save you on the gig. If somebody's taking a very interesting solo and you are locked into the melody, it's going to be way better for you, I think, than if you're counting bars. If you're just 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, you're going to look like an idiot for one, and you're not going to be feeling the tune. You're not going to be learning anything. Who counts? We're not robots. We don't count. You count when you're in the 4th grade and you've got 15 measures of rest in Let's Go to Boogie Town or whatever, you're playing in your 4th grade band. You know how that is. You sit there. Everybody looks like a zombie. 2, 2, 3, 4. We had to teach the kids right from the beginning. What's the melody during those 15 bars of rest? Just sing the melody. As soon as it's over, you come back in. It's so much more musical. So be singing the melody. You can practice it when you don't have a band with you. You can practice it when you do have a band with you. When everybody else takes a solo, you sing the melody. You, my friend, have got to be ready for some distractions. What if you're on your gig, all of a sudden the guitar player starts to take a solo, you're listening, it's so nice, you're comping, and the waitress drops her whole tray and does a belly slide right across the floor. The band must keep playing. I mean, even if you would give her a 10 on her form, you gotta keep playing, and you're gonna get lost in the form if you're concentrating on that waitress. So, you can prepare yourself for this. This is what I suggest. All of you you're in different parts of life, I get that. All of you can do this one. All right, you've got your recording playing, right? Let's say you're listening to Miles Davis play So What. You got it playing in the background. You're really trying to make sure that you know when the B section's coming and that you can feel how long that form is before it raises the half step on the B section, right? Okay, so here's what you do. You listen to the first A section, you're singing along, you're like a D minor, do, 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 like that. And then do something to distract yourself. This is what I suggest. Get out a piece of paper, write down the alphabet. Write down the whole thing. See if while you're writing, maybe you have to write it twice. While you're writing, you can say now, and that's where the B section comes in. Just a little idea. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you got a little baby. Diaper that baby while you're listening to the tune. Make yourself say now when the B section starts, or now at the top of the form. It could be anything. Maybe maybe you're cooking while you're listening. Maybe your roommate, maybe you could tell your roommate, you'll time them how long it takes them to run around the apartment. And then, so you're looking at your timer and, you have to say now at the top of the form, even if your roommate comes back right at that second, huffing and puffing, what was my time? You gotta be creative. Distract yourself. Whatever it is, do the dishes. Say now at the top of the form every time. Something like that to get your mind away from the music just a little bit and bring yourself back all the time. Don't you look at me like I'm crazy. When I think back to my first years as a jazz player, The times that I got lost in the form the most often were during my own solo, when there's nobody to mess me up except me. It's the most dangerous time for sure. Why is it dangerous? Well, it's because you got something else to think about, right? If you don't have anything to think about except for the melody, like we talked before, if your trumpet player is taking a solo and all you're doing is singing the melody in your head, you can focus on that. You can even focus while you're comping, because you probably would be comping right there. But it's not that hard to focus. But as soon as you have to get creative, that's where it becomes hard to focus. Now, what can make you lose it when you're soloing? The first thing that I think of is the drummer. Sometimes you play an idea during your solo. And you're doing something like that, and the drummer picks up on it, and he predicts that you're going to do it again, and you're thinking, oh wow, he's really listening to me. This is great. I'm gonna keep playing this idea so that we can keep playing it together. And then all of a sudden you forget what the chord is, and you miss it, and you're lost in the form. You got to be careful about the drummer. One way I think that can help you to keep up with your drummer is that app that I reviewed. Do you remember that? It was called Do you remember that? It was called Genius Jam Tracks. Go look at my video if you've forgotten about it. You can set that to some kind of polyrhythm and play over the top of it. Just solo and solo and solo while those drums, you can even make the whole rhythm section do some kind of polyrhythm. That's really good for you because it provides another distraction, and really it's just preparation for if something happens on a gig like that. Another thing that can happen is that you can just get so involved with your own melody and your own idea that you're creating while you're soloing that you forget the chords that are going by. So you got to be really careful about that. I think the best way to combat that is to actually say the names of the chords while you solo. So go ahead and start soloing. You can put on some kind of you could put on a metronome. You could put on a drum beat. I like to use brushes on the Drum Genius app. There's a really nice under medium slow. I think it's number 6 brushes. It's like that. And then all you have to do is just say the names of the chords out loud while you solo. So you're like C minor, F minor, you just say them. Now you can't do that if you're a horn player, but you can think it. Another thing that you can do is to make sure that you play interesting ideas when you're practicing your soloing. If you're just playing boring stuff, that's not going to help you. You want to really reach in your practice and play ideas that are hard to keep up with. Even add some polyrhythms into your playing, into your own playing. Play some licks that are, that have groupings of 5 or groupings of 7 or something. Just everything that you can do to prepare yourself for the danger that's going to come when you take a solo. I do guarantee that's going to be the time when you get lost the most, is while you take a solo. So just be prepared for it. That's all you can do. Another time you're going to get lost is when you trade 4s. It can be a really tricky thing. So you can practice that ahead of time as well. I put on Sonny Rollins live in Denmark right now. He's playing on Green Dolphin Street. This is how I'm going to trade 4s with myself. You get the idea? You can totally do it. You can just put on a record and you can sing or you can play your instrument. It's going to be better for you if you play your instrument. Even if you're a singer, it's going to be better for you if you play on the piano, because sometimes if you're singing, you can forget what all the changes are, which is horribly dangerous. Singers kind of have it hard because they don't have any buttons to push. So unless you have perfect pitch or something, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to get lost. So I would recommend singers that you do this kind of stuff as well. Just play through the changes and make sure that you can call out the chords so that you don't get lost, and so that you can anticipate, you know, when those 2-5-1s are coming, and you can bust out your licks that you know, all that kind of stuff. But I do think it's a good idea to trade fours with yourself, and you can just sing rhythms like I did, or you can play them on your table or wherever, but it gets your brain away from melody and changes for just a little bit, long enough to make you forget and have to come back. That's always the key to remembering anything, is to forget it for a little bit and then come back to it. And you don't want it to happen on the gig when you're actually trading fours, so practice it ahead of time. All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope that helps and that you don't get lost in the form anymore. Share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I always have a little circle right up in the corner. You can do that very easily. That way you never miss one of my videos. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time on Aimee Nolte Music.